Hello everybody, this is Adrian for WapCar.my and I'm all about the details. After spending some 3.5 months in our Perodua Ativa, I am convinced that my next car will be an SUV. Now I know there are a lot of car reviewers and enthusiasts that goes around lambasting the very existence of SUVs because they are big, bulky, uninspiring to drive. There are better options, sedan, hatchbacks, wagons. Wagons are more practical than SUVs and are nicer to drive too. While I agree with them that SUVs may not be as dynamically capable as other body styles, you have to give credit where it's due and compare it Apple against Apple. You see, if you're going to compare for example, a G-Wagon, a G63 G-Wagon against a AMG GT, for sure the two-door sports car, it's gonna be more engaging, more exciting to drive compared to a big, large SUVs. Now, SUVs have come a long way over the years. They are no longer boring to drive, they are no longer cumbersome to drive. The platform chassis has improved tremendously. Just take at the latest G-Wagon against the previous generation G-Wagons, it's a world of a difference. But my love for SUVs do not just stem from how it drives, I like it for more practical reasons. First up, it's higher ground clearance compared to a sedan or a hatchback. On Malaysia's pothole-infested roads, having an SUV, having this kind of ground clearance just makes it so much more stress-free driving it. Can you imagine when you're going over like all these tall bumps and humps, you don't have to worry whether your front bumper is able to clear it or not. When you meet like pothole-infested roads, all the bumps and humps, you don't have to worry about scraping here, scraping there. And SUVs typically have a softer suspension setup, so you can go over these kind of bumps in a way more carelessly. You don't have to pay so much attention and it takes off a lot of stress from driving. The benefits of having higher ground clearance really comes into play when you are ferrying a full load. Compared to my Mazda 2, when I have 5 passengers on board, going over bumps I have to be very gentle, I have to be very careful. In the Ativa, what bump? Next up is the higher sitting position. You're able to get a much better, clearer forward visibility outwards. You're able to see further ahead, anticipate cars, 2-3 cars ahead of you. The little hatchback behind me won't be able to have this kind of luxury. And you know, some may say that drivers, whether females or males alike, you get a better sense of security when you're seated higher up. You know, you don't have to worry too much that other cars can't see you. You don't have this kind of pressure on you while driving. And it really shows. After spending, like a good chunk of 2-3 months in the Ativa, jumping from the Ativa into my Mazda 2, I feel a little bit, kind of uneasy at first. Driving in my Mazda 2, it feels a little bit lower. I have to think a little bit more while driving. In the Ativa, because I have such great forward and outward visibility, it just makes driving so much more relaxed. Next up is the higher hit point of an SUV. It just makes ingress and egress a lot easier. Watch. You just step into the car. You don't have to crouch or slouch when entering a car. And this is very important for me because, my parents are a little bit older and their hip is not very flexible. When getting in and out of a car, they have to slouch and crouch. It's a little bit tiring for them. But in an SUV, you get a taller hit point, egress and egress. And when you're seated like this, it's a lot more comfortable for them. And not only that, let's say you have a child seat mounted here and you want to get your baby in and out of. In an SUV, it's a lot more graceful because you're almost level with the child. You don't have to bend down or bend down just to get your kid in and out from, let's say, a sedan or a hatchback. So this right now is very important to me. In the 3.5 months of owning this Perodua Ativa, I am personally very intrigued by the SUV ownership experience. And not only that, my parents like it, I love it, I'm very happy with it, which makes me want to decide my next car to be an SUV. However, I do agree that there are some shortcomings in terms of having an SUV when compared to a sedan or a hatchback. First up, its big and bulky size makes it less aerodynamic, which in turn affects the MVH as well as fuel consumption. It's not as efficient. However, I feel that all of these shortcomings have been very much rectified in recent years and have become very much acceptable. So for example, new cars nowadays have great, very clever NVH solutions to keep the cabin very quiet. And in this Ativa, it's the same, high speed, unless you're traveling, you know, as fast as a Boeing plane. In the cabin, it's relatively quiet, up to 110 kilometers per hour, no issues whatsoever. Fuel consumption, yes, it's a little bit higher. However, I think that it's still acceptable because it's not like double or triple the fuel consumption. You know, drinks twice or 3 times more fuel than a regular car. Just budget about 20 to 30% more than what you expect from a sedan or hatchback. An SUV, that's about the rough equation of the consumption of an SUV, which I feel that it's pretty fair. Lastly is the driving dynamics of an SUV. Manufacturer has spent a lot of R&D into creating great platforms, and this Ativa is one of them. It's riding on the DNGA, Daihatsu New Global Architecture platform, and it's superb. It holds itself very well around the bends, on highways. Interstate travel at speeds will be no issues whatsoever. So all the shortcomings of an SUVs, in modern SUVs, the difference has become less apparent compared to a sedan or a hatchback. And once you factor in the space, practicality and comfort of an SUV, the difference becomes negligible. And now that I'm in my late 20s, when the time comes for my next car change, my next upgrade, I would definitely be looking at SUVs because my priorities in life and my needs in a car changes. I no longer want a car, I no longer will look at a car of how fast it corners, or how hard can it turn, or how fast can it go around Sepang. Those becomes irrelevant to me. What matters more would be the comfort, the practicality for me and the people around me. And I agree that everybody have different needs in life. Everybody wants what they want in a car is different. And it's not that I've become old and boring and don't know how to appreciate nice, fun cars anymore. No, it's nothing like that. My passion for cars not only revolves around the performance, design, or the technology of a car, but also how does the car serve a person's life. You know, that's why I always give car advices based on the person, not based on your spec sheet, like thinking, oh, okay, for this price, this is the best car you can get. No, I would first want to understand the person, understand what they want in a car, and it's reflected in our brand WapCar. We help you find a perfect car. And everybody would have different needs in life. Everybody will have different expectations they want in a car. For example, my colleague who recently swapped his SUV for a Toyota GT86 Coupe, a 2-door sports car. That's what he wants in his life right now. That's what's important to him, having a fun, nice to drive car. For me, my priorities are different. I would want a SUV, a comfortable, capable SUV. But what about you guys? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Would your next car be an SUV, or are you currently driving an SUV right now? As always, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this.